Today is Thursday, June the 21st. Bam! That's the first time I've ever done that, boy. Got the date right out. But anyway, this is Citizens United, Hope for America promotion, episode number 32. Bam! Woo! Well, I'm rolling today. It's a beautiful day. The reason I have on this mask, in case you might be wondering, is because at 53 years old, I had to have my teeth extracted, and I'm getting dentures. So there's probably millions and millions of people that then went through this. Well, it's my turn. So I got about one more week before I get to sit down and pick and choose and say I like that feels good, And then I get back out here. I get to get back out there, get my hugs, my sugars and everything, because people do discriminate. People are mean and shit, man. That's why I've been like, on the low, you know what I mean? Because people be like, man, then I'll be ready to like, no. But, so yeah, although, I'm always trying to be happy and humorous and all of that, but, this is a sad time we living in. There's a lot of sad things going on. I ain't trying to rain on nobody's parade or nothing, but Citizens United, Hope for America is about providing hope, inspiration, motivation. I'm a Democrat. I am a progressive Democrat. I think I'm one of the most progressives on the planet. And as a progressive, it hurts to see Republicans that are fully engulfed in deception and dishonorable intent, malice intent, corruption, evil. Evil. There's no other way to describe 17% of your base is flat out white nationalist, hardcore racists who believe that it's their constitutional right to be able to kill, murder, kidnap, murder, dismember people of color. It's sad as a progressive Democrat to see Republicans embrace savages like that. They're always accusing everybody else of being animals and less than human. What the hell do you call, if we're going to talk about somebody being less than human, degrading people, belittling them, making them, saying that they're animals. Okay, what do you call a group of people that rape, kidnap, behead, engage in terrorist activity involving explosives, snipers, stabbings? What do you call them? And these people are attacking innocent, unbeknownst people. People, what do you call them? And when you look at religion and reality and the world that we live in, and we're categorizing behavior in terms of superiority, what the hell do you call a group of people that look funny, talk funny, very, low levels of intelligence? Just listen to them. And engage in the most horrific acts against humanity and human rights. What do you call them? Wow. Okay. So anyway, Thursday, June the 21st, we just went through one of the worst political weeks in the history of America, because we have once again, the Republican Party, I mean, think about this. Just go back 3 presidential elections. We're going to go back. We're here today with Trump. Then you got Barack Obama. Then you got Bush. So you got Republican, Democrat, Republican, right? So in our present lifetime, we've had 2 Republican presidents, meaning that regardless of how they got there, as a nation, we were led to believe that Republicans could provide leadership to the world. Republicans could provide leadership to their constituents. We were led to believe in our current history of life on 2 occasions that Republicans were ready and responsible and mature enough to provide that level of leadership at the highest level in the world. Look at this. Go back to Bush, the first Republican, that we're current. How did he get there? There was massive controversy around that election. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in Florida, okay? There was a lot of corruption surrounding that election, which suggests that the GOP, even at that time, was looking for dirt on the Democrats, was looking to undermine the system, was looking at loopholes and shortcuts and everything, right? We didn't have the electronic voting system then. We had the punch and the chad. You could actually recount and verify, right? So even when it came time we just wanted a fair election. That election was not fair. That president was not elected. He was appointed. His brother was the governor of the state where the biggest level of the Republican controversy took place in Dade County, I think it was, the recount. The Republicans had a woman that was in charge of the Florida elections. I don't know the terminology, but I think her name was Catherine something. This woman it was horribly controversial. They stole that election. They were not elected. The Supreme Court appointed them. As we trusted their leadership, as we were led to believe that they were conservatives, fiscal disciplinarians, and we were going to be safer. But because of the controversy of that election, the economy became stagnant. And over the first 11 months, they did something that was unprecedented. They raised the interest rate 9 times, trying to jumpstart the economy. And just when it looked like the worst media news in the entire planet was getting ready to hit the Republican Party, just when it looked like we were going to see the words deficit and depression in the major headlines, 9/11 happened. Who did 9/11 benefit? When you look at the kleptocracy, the autocrats and the communist regimes around the world, there's a technique that they use within the intelligence community, which was the worst thing the world could do looking for democracy, is putting intelligence officers in fucking government leadership positions. That's fucking insane. You give the underbelly of corruption, the sneaky, the spies and all that. Now you're going to give these motherfuckers the keys to your democracy after they done got all your secrets, your dirt and all this shit. But anyway, a technique that they use in terms of mass oppression, mass, whatever, is a catastrophe. And out of the ashes of the catastrophe comes a leader. So in Russia, when Gorbachev or whatever was getting ready to make the transition to Putin, they ran that motherfucking 9/11 shit over there. Look it up, Google it. They brought down 2 or 3 buildings. And out of the ashes rose Putin. So these motherfuckers deceive, the intelligence community here, under the presidential leadership of Richard Cheney and his son George Bush, they ran that same motherfucking gambit. They brought down 2 buildings, actually 3. And out of the ashes rose the leadership, right? And instead of attacking the motherfuckers that brought the building down, the 19 guys that came out of Saudi Arabia and got on them planes and did all that, these motherfuckers went in a whole nother direction and attacked Iraq. And when they asked Donald Rumsfeld at that time on an interview, they said, hey man, why are you going to Iraq? And they didn't have nothing to do with it. This motherfucker slipped up and said because they have more, what did he say? He said they have more targets. They have more targets. Targets? And the rest is history. So they stole that election. Soon as they got access, 9/11, Iraq, Katrina, they took us from catastrophe to catastrophe to catastrophe to catastrophe. Look it up. It's a timeline of catastrophe. They didn't give you time to think. They didn't give us time to recover. And the whole time, they extracted 20 to 30, going on, if you look back from right now, going back, damn near $30 trillion. They could have gone to our roads, our schools, our mental health, facilities, and, our veterans, our seniors, our you name it. They stole it, right? So then here come the Democrats in between to clean it up. And what a magnificent job Barack Obama did, restoring order, to this planet. Because don't forget, when they left office, they destroyed the world economy. Barack Obama had to come in the door signing the most massive stimulus package the world has ever known to try to correct what they did, right? So, praises to Barack for restoring order and restoring our respect around the world. But here we go again. The Republicans did it again. But they knew they couldn't do the Keystone Cop routine of corruption that they did during the Florida shenanigans, because that's too much hands-on. In between that time, we've gotten wise, we got technicians, we have lawyers at these polling stations, at these voting sites. So they knew that the hands-on thing was off. So they subcontracted it out. We've seen meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting with Republicans involved in the Republican National Committee's campaign, the main Republicans, reaching out to Russians. The main Republican candidate literally from his bully pulpit is saying, hey, if you can get Hillary's, intelligence communities from around the world confirming meetings after meetings around the globe. So as we look back, we know for an absolute fact that they did steal this election. Whether they used Facebook, whether they used Russian bots, whether they used the media companies that we found out about, whether it was Roger Stone's, whether it was this, whether it was that, the Republican Party violated every rule, not only of humanity, not only of our Constitution in terms of treason, but in terms of our voting laws that regulate. And they stole the election. The very first trip that this president took right out of the gate was over to Saudi Arabia, where he sold missiles. And they made that knowledge known to the world. Well, a bold and brash move like that by this president sent shockwaves throughout Africa. Fuck the Middle East. Sent shockwaves throughout Africa. His actions was irresponsible, very provocative, and they had the absolute effect that they were intended to have. It was to destabilize the Middle East. It was to provoke Mr. Kim Jong-un. And it did. And when they provoked him, he stepped right in to become the hero. So the motherfucker that started the fire, just like today, with the immigrants, our brothers and sisters on the border, the arsonist is now becoming the hero. And we're seeing this cycle. This whole thing with North Korea, it wasn't about freedom. This man didn't even mention human rights. It wasn't about denuclearization. They know because of the time frame, ain't shit gonna ever get done. It was about this fool being able to get a photo op, being able to get a image so that he could feed his base, or so that he could put the plaque on the wall, at the expense of destabilizing the entire region. Let me tell you something. I flunked ninth grade, but I'm still pretty. I'm single today. I wasn't single a year ago. I got divorced. I wasn't single 4 months ago. I was dating somebody. I was dating exclusively. But today, I'm single. I'm dating here and dating there, and it's a wonderful thing. At 53 years old, I'm a bachelor, fighting for that flag right there, looking at my grandkids, looking at my kids, looking at my community, and I got all the time in the world to really focus on this, right? So my passion in terms of giving back to my community and in terms of just really engaging in myself as a person and really like trying to cooperate with God in this world of deception that we live in. I mean, surrounded by, whether you go to work, oh, the devil's just all around you. Whether you go home, oh, the devil's just coming in and out your house. Whether you go to bed, oh, the devil's just sliding in and out your life. Regardless of whether you want to believe it or not, regardless of whether you want to accept it or not, we living in a time right now where deception is everywhere. And your only chance at survival is the truth. Because the Decepticons are going to surround themselves around lies and deception. And if you try to survive or try to figure that shit out or try to swim in that pool, you're going to die. So your only hope is the truth, the light. My personal favorite is Jesus Christ. But that don't mean that got to be your personal favorite. You know, you could be Muslim, Buddha, you know, atheist. This is America, baby. You can be who you want to be, transgender, bisexual. That's your preference. But when it comes to my God, I know what he expects from me. I know what he said to me. I know what he told me. I know what he showed me. I know what he told me to do. And it's not pretend that I don't know the difference between a lie and the truth. It's not pretend that I'm powerless. It's not pretend that I'm weak. It's not to pretend that I don't know no better. It's not to pretend that it's just nothing I can do. It's not to pretend that I just can't, you know, I can't get involved. It's not to pretend. That ain't what God taught me. That ain't what he showed me. That ain't what the Lord helped me do every single day. So I'm not trying to put nobody down. I'm not trying to look above or beyond or through nobody, but I'm just expressing myself this morning, June the 21st, Thursday. And it's important to me, as an individual, to kind of like communicate and do the things that I can do, So Citizens United Hope for America is a promotion that I began to partake on it's going on 5 years now. And basically there's like 4 principles of Citizens United. Our main goal is the youth empowerment program, secure voting in America and secure voting systems in America, the fight for women's rights, and it's one more that slips my mind right now, but it's all about empowerment. It's all about creating a platform. Oh, I'm sorry, and recently I came up with a concept for a neighborhood watch program. So imagine having an app on your phone that's attached. I'm not trying to give away no information, but imagine having an app on your phone that would give you a sense of unity with your neighbors. In terms, not in terms of like having them in your business or being friends, no, but a sense of unity in terms of like being connected from an information standpoint as to what's going on your street, from an anonymous standpoint that can give you a sense of security. Whether you're at work, whether you're here, whether you're there, you can have an app on your phone where you'll have information readily available if something were to occur on your street in real time. And I'm not talking about like the typical stuff that's out there, like the little alerts that you get if a crime is committed around the corner or at this address, the little thing. No, it's kind of, it's simple, but it's very much different. And honestly, I really believe that I believe it. It's gonna happen eventually. The industry is going there. It's evolving, but I see it, right? So, the neighborhood watch program, because if you remember, back in the days, there used to be a very important thing, not only in the black community, but every community. And some communities still have them. But, with the way crime is set up in America today, it's really not in your best interest to be a witness because you could actually get killed. So neighborhood watch today can get you killed. And that's where the new technology comes in, because we can take away your risk, as a witness, neighborhood watch, I saw something, you got to report it, then you may have to be a witness, right? So that could be dangerous, under the old neighborhood watch system. So I've discovered just based on observation and common sense, a technique that I think, I know for a fact, is coming. It's coming. And whether I'm a part of it or not, within 10 years, this shit's going to be out there, right? So I see it. So I'm hoping that I could be a part of it. You know what I mean? And so, we got, the Citizens United Hope for America promotion, we have the youth empowerment campaign that is a primary focus, because we have to empower our young people. If you did a survey today of young people between the ages of 9 and and 17. And you just ask them specific questions like, hey, how do you feel about your future? Or a simple question like, do you think anybody cares? You know, simple questions like, where do you see yourself in 20 years? Right? It would devastate you know, because there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, man. There's people in your family, your nieces and nephews, you know, because all these little people out here running around, teenagers and stuff, they're related to somebody. They're part of families, right? So I'm speaking specifically as a family, right? There's people in your family, my family, our families, right? Between the ages of 7 and 17. That are hopeless, you know, within themselves. That they feel hopeless. They feel powerless. They feel just so confused. I mean, just disoriented, confused. They don't know. They have no idea. Which makes them vulnerable. Makes them vulnerable in so many different ways, man. And that's, and you know, as we look at ourselves, like when you look at when you were 7 and when you were 17, you didn't feel hopeless. You didn't feel powerless. I can tell you, I was there. And the reason you didn't is because we were viewing the world, we were seeing different images. The images of the men we were seeing were different. They talked to each other different. They interacted with each other different. They had a different level of respect for each other. You know, the problems were different. They weren't as devastating as they are now. You know, but the images that we saw were different. And the images that were presented to us were different. Back then, we were presented images of hope. We were presented images of yes, you can. Man, as a kid growing up, I was presented images through the superheroes that I could do anything. I could save the world. That's why I am what I am. Because of the images that was put in my head when I was 7 to 17. Those images, man, of seeing Batman and Robin and Superman and Iron Man and all of them fighting for justice, those images helped. It kept me from ever feeling hopeless. It kept me from ever feeling powerless. The images in Hollywood of the actors like Jim Brown, Fred Williamson, God rest his soul, Black Jim Kelly, you know, bringing it to the man. Pam Grier, Christy Love, Cleopatra Jones, bringing it to the man. Which brings me to the music. So at Citizens United Hope for America, part of the promotion is a show. And what I've discovered is in the 60s and the 70s, black folks had a very passive, aggressive, political message in just about every song. James Brown wasn't passive about his. I mean, he get up, get into it, fight the power. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't passive, but Marvin Gaye, you know, brother, brother, you know, passive aggressive messages in song that address the politics of the world. And I've discovered in 2018 a variety of songs that would absolutely be magnificent on this political stage in terms of a culture having a message, political message in music that has an impact on the politics. So I am very ambitious. And I do not apologize about that. I can be obnoxious about my beliefs. I can be overly confident to the point where it upsets you. But fuck you. This ain't about you. This is about us. Us don't bother we. And we don't bother us.